Distinguished speakers, representatives of UPU member countries, designated operators, regulators, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to today's Consultative Committee webinar on EU customs reform, market impact, and transition management. This session is designed as a neutral, factual, and market-orientated exchange. Our objective is not to interpret EU law, nor to advocate specific policy outcomes. Instead, we aim to establish a shared factual baseline, exchange operational and commercial perspectives across the ecosystem, identify transition challenges and areas where further clarification is needed. 2026 marks the first year of tangible market impact. Decisions taken now on IT systems, data models, routing, pricing, and compliance structures will define preparedness for the 1st of July, when the EU customs de minimis threshold ends, and November 2026, when a Europe-wide handling fee will be introduced, and beyond. I seek again guidance by the CC Secretariat. Please tell me if the DG or DDG joined the meeting, and if they would like to take the floor and address the participants.
The DG has indicated that he would not attend this meeting. The DDG might attend the meeting, and if he wants to take the floor, he's welcome to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. DDG, would you like to address? If not, I will like to go on.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. I would like to move into the first item of our agenda and would like to move to the market perspectives. It is important that we establish a common baseline. I kindly ask the panelists to structure their intervention around three categories. The confirmed elements as today. This is in particular the Council regulation. Sorry. Thank you, Elizabeth. The Council regulation as regards the elimination of the threshold-based customs duty relief in force since the 8th of March and applicable on the 1st of July. The politically proposed but not yet finalized elements. We expect a European Commission delegated act applicable then in November 2026. This in particular is about the handling fees and the open technical implementation questions. I would like to hand over to our first two panelists in this field, to Martin Phil of Logistic Natives, and also to Alexei Shigov for Maersk Trade and Customs Consultant. Martin and Alex, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter, for giving me the floor. My name is Martin Phil. I'm representing Logistic Natives, CC member. We are an e-commerce association based in Germany. Yeah, we have many international members. Yeah, I'm responsible for the advisory and project management entity, and we are working with many by the postal sector players, but also designated operators and authorities. Yeah, and this topic affects everyone. And I will try to give you a brief overview about the current status. Yeah, I will not be able to go into all details. That's what the Q&A session afterwards can be used for. Next slide, please. So we are talking about the European Union customs reform. We had quite good luck because until beginning of last week, there were many, many moving parts. Yeah, last Thursday, the European member states and the Parliament and the Council, so basically trilogue, announced the decision. Yeah, so we really had we are now very timely. Yeah, and I will give you now the status of last Friday. As Walter mentioned, there are still things ongoing. There will be still legislation written, but I will try to give an overview about what's currently out there and what are the most important components of this reform. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is the current starting point. We're talking about European Union. We're talking about 6 billion parcels inbound to European Union. In detail, it's 5.9 billion. This increased by 20% last year. So it's a really booming market. Very important figures. 90%, more than 90% of those volumes are low value consignments below 150 euros. That's very important for the reform. Also important, more than 90%, so the current number is 93%, are IOSS. That is a specific VAT model, which is also relevant for the reform. I will explain in the next slide. Important fact, 90%, according to European Union sources, kind of go back. We're not yet finished with the last. Yeah, please go back to the last slide. We are not yet finished. Thank you. We have 90% coming from Chinese suppliers, that's sources of the European Union, and 90% of those customs transactions are commercially already. Yeah, this is the situation. Next slide will show you how those parcels enter the European Union. Yeah, we have two different models. Yeah, the one model is traditional, that is B2B2C. Here, the goods come in bulk, are cleared in bulk, they are stored in warehouses, and when ordered, fulfillment takes place and delivery by express carriers or designated operators, yeah, locally. This is the traditional model. This is how most volumes of Amazon are currently processed, yeah. What has become the dominant model in the European Union, also based on the decisions of 2021, the European Union e-commerce VAT package, is direct import. This simply means the parcels are already created abroad. They are transported to the European Union. They are cleared per item, so it's B2C customs clearance, and then they're delivered by local express carriers or designated operators. This is the dominant model. This is 6 billion parcels. Important thing, there is this threshold. We have this 150 euro threshold, where if the value of the parcel, it's per parcel, per consignment, exceeds 150 euro, we have, let's say, the traditional customs procedure. This means customs duties, import VAT are due when entering the European Union, and the fees are collected by customs. That is the existing model. Applicable above 150 euros doesn't change. Yeah. Then we have the simplified customs procedure, and that's very important. This was introduced in 2021. Here we have reduced data sets, so less data required. It's fully digital, it's fully automated, and this is basically the de minimis for customs, so there are no customs duties. Import VAT has to be paid, but here we have a nice scheme called IOSS. Here you can pay already when the consumer buys, so at the point of sales at the checkout, and it's possible to pay the VAT for all European Union member countries to one tax authority. So this is the dominant model. So, and this also is that the reform really focuses on. Yeah. Next slide. This means we have currently a clear system of consolidation. So those 6 billion parcels do not enter the European Union according to consumers. It's based on a different model. We have currently 5 member countries where almost 90% of all parcels enter. Yeah. In particular, Benelux countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, but also Hungary. because based on infrastructure, but also based on the capabilities of customs. So basically about digital capabilities of full application of the model, and also about how the resources of customs are developed. But this is the current situation, and now the reform has entered into place. Please, next slide. This is basically the key topics we will talk about. What we have is, number one, we have a removal of this 150 euros customs duty exemption. So from July, all parcels will be due to customs, and we will have this customs duty interim model of those 3 euros. Number two, we have now, that's now finished last Thursday, we have the European Union-wide handling fee. This will also enter into force this year. And what I also will tell you shortly is there have been some developments concerning national handling fees. I will give you a status. Okay, next slide, please. So this is basically what happened last Thursday. That are the other topics. We will have a European Union Customs Authority in France, in Lille. And this authority will establish a European Union Customs Data Hub, which will be optional in 2031. This will be the first European Union customs database. We have a first step for this. That's basically will be used for clearing. This is IOSS, but IOSS is tax. This will be a dedicated customs data hub. Super important will be a liability shift. So based on European Union announcements, sellers and platforms will be liable. So it's no longer the consumer as an importer, it will be the seller, the platform. So it's basically those entities who will be obliged to provide data, who have to pay and guarantee charges and are liable, no longer the consumer. And it's also a new regime how to register. What also changed or will be written into legislation will be a new model for fines. It will be an escalation ladder. There will be fines based on the total value of imported goods. So if there are questions, we can discuss it afterwards. Also important, there will be incentive of compliance. So there will be this trust and check model, which will give specific advantages for those entities, suppliers, platforms who comply with the regime. But this is basically the non-monetary part. And next slide, now we go to those 3 layers. This is now the new layer of EU customs duties. It's interim. What does it mean? It will start in July, and after 2 years, European Commission will decide if it will continue, if there will be already the customs hub in place, and so on. But it will start in July. The 150 euros exemption will fall, and it is affecting all parcels below 150 euros. If there is IOSS, there will be a customs duty of 3 euros per tariff heading. What is a tariff heading? A tariff heading are the first 4 digits of the HS code, of the customs code. This is the product category. Is it a silk t-shirt? Is it a cotton t-shirt? Is it a USB cable? Is it a charger? This is the tariff heading. So if there are multiple of those categories in a parcel, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3 euros. The same applies for postal consignments. This is UPU. Also, you have 3 euros per tariff heading. And if it's neither IOSS nor postal consignment, then it is a common customs tariff. So you pay the traditional percentage based on category. That is what you already do if it exceeds 150 euros. Platforms means exactly the electronic interface. This, what European Union addresses, is Temu, Shein, all those guys, the marketplaces. Also important, there is the option for C2C. This is possible to make a national exemption. Next slide, please. Again, we can discuss in details afterwards just to be in time. Then we have the news thing, which is the EU-wide handling fee. This is the handling fee per parcel. So that is really per physical consignment. It is to be paid by the party which is responsible for paying customs charges. That's quite clear. Yeah, will also be affected when the shift from consumers to seller platforms come. Yeah, how much? Well, it will be established by the Commission. Yeah, the current discussions, information in advance, it was talked about €2, but this is to be written down, and it will be reviewed after 2 years. When? Yeah, the date is its latest 1st November 2026, or if the new handling fee IT system becomes operational sooner. Yeah, but this is basically for sure November, possibly earlier, depends on how fast the IT systems are in place. Also important, the revenues will go fully to EU member states. That's super important. There was a question I will answer afterwards. Yeah. Important revenues will go fully to EU member states. That's important because customs usually is part of the European Union budget. Yeah. But this handling fee will go directly 100% to the budgets of the member states. Okay. Last slide, please. Next slide. November 2026, correct. This is now information about the current state of national handling fees, which, to be polite, are fragmented. Yeah, this will be, of course, affected because now we have a decision concerning a European Union-wide handling fee, but these are the current existing national regulations. They're from Romania. Yeah, Romania is in force since 1st January. A fellow panelist will show you details here. Yeah. This is B2C imports to Romanian consumers, regardless where it enters the European Union. Yeah. Then you have Italy. Italy is in force but has been deferred. Yeah, we will see if it enters into force. This is based on customs clearance in Italy, but affects all consumers. And we have France, which is also in force. Yeah, there has been also curriculars of La Poste already. Here we have European Union sunset clause, which means this will be in force as long as there is no European Union regulation. Yeah, also based on customs clearance in France and for all European consumers. But this is basically the current situation. We expect changes because now we have this European Union-wide handling fee, but we'll see. Next slide, please. Yeah, what will change? Sorry, go back. That was too fast. So this is basically what will happen. We will have a big change because this liability change, we still don't have details, but that's what has been announced. There will be a completely new range of incentives and fines. There will be much room for routing optimization, yeah, because there will be cases where the traditional customs clearance in percentage will be less than the €3, but this will result in interesting switches to be discussed. But of course, the key topic will be that's also encouraged by the European Union, a switch from direct import to B2B2C. So the European Union wants that more items are not imported directly, but goes to European Union warehouses and is using the B2B2C model. That is definitely one objective of the European Union, announced also in the press conferences. Yeah. And there are, of course, challenges like capacities and infrastructure, because if from those 6 billion parcels, 2 billion switch, there has to be resources for this. But that is basically already something for the following discussion. Yeah, well, that was my first input. There will be time to discuss in more detail afterwards. For time's sake, I will stop now. Next slide, please. Because I'm ready. Yeah, so thank you very much. And if there are questions, that's exactly the reason why we have the Q&A session afterwards. And thank you, and I hand over to my esteemed colleague from Maersk, Alexei.
Thank you, Martin. Alexei, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, I hope?
Yes,
So,
we can hear you.
excellent.
We can see you. All good.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and pleasure to be here. Yeah, my name is Alexei Shiglov. I work for Maersk and Maersk Custom Services more particularly. Can you move to the slides, please? So as you see from the, probably Maersk is more known for the ocean ship as an ocean carrier, ocean shipper, not so much for e-commerce, but the e-commerce is quickly developed. So of course you can visit our website to check the details. So we don't have time to discuss that. Otherwise, for custom services, as you see, we are covering pretty much the whole world with the 35,000 customers and even more, and 2,500 more or less colleagues who work for custom services. So we do a lot of custom. So we are focusing. So my job is, of course, to focus on the optimization of custom services and customs element in the work of cross-border trade. Next slide, please. So for EU customs reform, our initial reaction is, so we welcome the ambition of the customs reform. We expect improved data quality. It's very much about data and data hub, customs data hub. We expect a smoother flow of data, a smarter risk-based and data-driven approach to customs controls, so more efficient customs controls, and more consistent EU-wide procedures. So we have seen some inconsistencies in how customs works for that, and across the union, and so we expect more consistency on that. So operational challenges we expect as well as the implementation goes ahead, with more requirements for data, for alignment and the operational alignment between carriers and platforms and different postal operators and authorities. And but otherwise, we welcome a more predictable environment, so that the customs reform will create for us. So next slide, please. So actually, it's a lot about data, right? So the whole change is very much focused on the data governance, data for the risk management, data hub, etc. So, and also I wanted to bring to your attention some discussions that we are following at the global level with the World Customs Organization, where we are members of what is called Private Sector Consultative Group, and so that group is undertaking a study now on the global challenges and for the e-commerce, and very much related to data is one of the big topics that we are discussing. So it's now with the WCO Permanent Technical Committee discussion, and by the way, UPU is also one of the parties that attend the discussions as well, and that sends its delegation to the Permanent Technical Committee. So you are following that from your side as well. So an emphasis in these discussions on the data quality, interoperability, and the identification of optimal data sources for stronger public-private partnerships. So and customs to customs data exchange, and also to create standards and how we handle data. So what we are doing with other private sector organizations, we try to map data holders. So in particular, who holds what data, where and at what stage that data is created or generated, right? And then how can data enhance risk management, enforcement, and trade facilitation, right? Because we would like to make that data also available for customs administrations for them to handle risks. So to provide the data that customs needs to create a kind of win-win situation. So the purpose of this exercise is to help to design data requirements that are both operationally feasible for us as operators, and also aligned with customs safety and security and revenue objectives, so that we have a better understanding how data is generated and transmitted by different stakeholders. So next slide, please. So this is, by the way, the final slide. I only have 5 minutes to present that. But actually, key findings are that we have been generated by those discussions so far is that, no single actor holds all relevant shipment and data at any given time, right? So we have commercial data, we have but our transport data, we have customs declaration data, payment data, held by different actors across the supply chain. So it's generated at different levels at different moment. So all is generated by different actors anyway. So it's quite fragmented in that sense. It's a stage and progressive nature of data generation as well. So not all of the data is available at once at a given moment, right? So it's sometimes create challenges for the pre-arrival clearance or pre-arrival risk assessment, etc. So we should be aware of that. And also risk management relevance data. Sometimes having a critically important data but accurate and consistent is more important than having more data. Yeah, less is more in a way here. And also we have identified unique challenges posed by return shipments. So return shipments, again, the data is not the same, data sets are not the same, and so we just would like to highlight to the policymakers the importance of handling that topic of return shipments as a kind of a separate challenge, and so make them aware that there is that issue that we would like to also have fixed across the supply chains. So these are the main things, and then the conclusion so far is that the policies and standards need to take account of the structural distribution of data across different actors, and have the awareness about the variety of factors involved, and a stage nature of data generate. And so what we preach is also continued dialogue with the policymakers, with the customs administrations, and what we call a co-creation of solutions, so that that customs administration listen to us, and in general administrations are listen to our worries and to our voices, so that we create those metrics and the framework together to optimize the trade, the flow of trade. So that brings me to the end of this short presentation. Just next slide, please. Yeah. This is my email address, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm sorry I was not reading the questions because I was focusing on the presentation, but I will try to address them as we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexei. I see that there is a lively chat already happening with lots of questions. We will take them after the next interventions. I would like to give the floor now to our participants for short intervention when it comes to the market perspectives. I would like to invite each speaker or group of speakers to focus on 3 key elements: the operational impact, the commercial implications, and possible transition management priorities for the next 4 to 6 months. According to the agenda, the next 2 or 3, I don't know, participants would be the Postal Technology Center and its director, and joining him, one of the solution providers, a CC member, Zonos Kermit, responsible for the postal partnerships. With that, please to the next presentation. This is Mr. Lati Matata, the director of the UPU Postal Technology Center. Lati, I'm very pleased that you found time to join us. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter, and of course a pleasure to participate in this webinar. So I note the 3 points Walter has raised: the operational impacts, the commercial impacts also, and finally some sort of transition phase with regards to this particular situation, the EU customs reform. So by way of introduction, I'm responsible for the Postal Technology Center, which is a directorate within the International Bureau of the UPU. And in essence, we provide technology to our postal operators, and in addition, all their partners, which includes what we now call postal business partners. So that's just a very, very brief and short introduction. What you have in front of you is the overall summation of our technology strategy for the current cycle. And it is primarily targeted for postal operators, where we intend to consolidate all the technology we have been providing them since 1996 into a single platform. And we have been very, very successful in terms of deployment. Majority of our postal operators, as members of our 192 member countries, use this technology. So the implementation itself follows the so-called global postal model. I can imagine a lot of non-UPU members in this webinar are not familiar with this, but essentially it allows us to seamlessly interact with all the actors of the postal supply chain, which includes our customs authorities and carriers. Now, what I'd like to focus on in this strategy is what you see in the red dot, which is our postal business partners. Following decisions at our Congress back in 2023, we have two new categories of postal partners, one called volume providers and the second solution providers. Volume providers essentially are any commercial entity that wishes to, which is in the business of moving commercial goods, or basically cross-border commerce. And solution providers are any, mostly, let's say, technology companies that provide them services to support them to do this. And we have an interoperability agenda where we certify them at a technical level, so a technology level, against the systems you see there. So we have a very, very mature set of solutions, and we will be really focusing as a first-class citizen now. As I said, on the left, we always focused on our postal operators, but now on the right, we have as a first-class partner, our customs authorities, our carriers, and now our postal business partners, to which I will let my colleague David Afsek elaborate further in terms of what we are offering in response, first of all, to the US requirements or changes on their de minimis, but keeping in mind that, of course, we are tracking very carefully the requirements now of the EU Customs Authority, for which we are prepared to support all our postal operators and work with our postal business partners. So next slide, please.
So I will take this one, Walter, if that's okay with you. And this slide, summarize the complexity we have integrated in our solution, just to answer so far the US situation. But of course, we built it with having in mind that the solution shall be universal for all destinations, of course, including Europe. So there's a lot in this slide, and I will not go into details, but what it illustrates is that when we built a solution for delivered duty paid, we basically have to organize two things. One is the data flows, and in itself, it's already complex, but that's what we are used to do. But the second thing is the financial flows, the payment flows. And here it becomes a little bit more complex, at least to make it cost effective. So that's what you see at the top of the slide. We have integrated different payment options for the duties and the taxes. But particularly relevant for the discussion today, it's more what you see in orange. So basically the things that we are prepared to change, adapt, to answer the European market. So when we talk about the operational impact and the technical impacts that were the question by the moderator, in the case of US, we have certain categories of solution providers. They are called qualified party in the US. We have integrated them in a standardized way. If for Europe, we have a slightly different model, again, we will adapt to that to copy data and to organize the payment flow to different actors. Same for reaching the final custom authorities. We will also adapt based on what has been presented earlier by the presenter in the introduction. If there's a central data hub, we will adapt to that. So basically, the idea is that from the UPU solution, we can integrate this complexity, and we can make it as transparent as possible for the post of origin. But that being said, and also linked to what has been said before, without standardization, this level of complexity will become higher and higher down the road. So we also call for standardization at the UPU level on those aspects for all the regulations that are taking shape in the different parts of the world. And the last thing maybe relevant for this discussion today is what you see at the top right corner, is also preparing for possibly hybrid models where the origin might not be always a post, but can be other kind of wider postal sector player. We are also preparing that. You see that with the red dots that are highlighted on the slide. The possibility to support S10, but also S26 in all this flow for DDB. That's it for my introduction. I think back to Lati for the last slide.
Thank you, David. And just in the previous slide, I just want to bring to your attention, we have been working indeed under, I would say, emergency following the US executive orders in August. But we have been very successful in deployment. We are started off around September. As of today, we have about more than 35 postal operators already rolling out the solution and have restarted their transshipment or transport of postal items containing goods to the United States. So what you have in front of you is let's say a well-tested model. It is in operations, and we have very, very ambitious targets to bring on board all the rest of our postal operators, at least in compliance with the US. At the same time, as mentioned by David, now we look at what is required by the EU and any other jurisdiction. So we are trying to, as much as we can, look not just at what is coming very quickly from the EU, but we do hear that other jurisdictions have similar custom regimes coming on board, and we're trying to make sure that this model adapts to them. So the key point we are trying to accomplish, just to repeat what David said, is first, from a customer-facing point of view, to minimize the interruptions or the complexity, and especially for postal operators on both sides, either sending or receiving, to also provide them technology and minimize their operational impacts. With our new players, our solution providers and volume providers, same ambition. By interfacing with the UPU technology at a platform level, we minimize, first of all, your technical work, and of course, maximize your access to the postal technology, to the UPU's postal supply chain. So I hope that that message comes through in this slide. Next slide, please. So another busy slide, but really as much as possible trying to focus on what is happening from the EU point of view. What you have here is the approved interoperability models by our Congress back in 2023. There are 3 models. I will simply focus on what is touched on in red dots, which is the direct entry model. And basically, it's what's happening in the market today. We have commercial consolidators who are shipping goods via commercial transport channels, either clearing them mostly by commercial customs clearance procedures, but we have had some ambitions to switch them to postal customs clearance procedures and then handing over to a postal operator of destination for delivery. Our technology is adapting to this, and as mentioned, the DDP supports this in terms of at least the payment point of view, and of course the data flows. So we are For those of you who are not very familiar, we are highly data-driven too. We have standard messages, but now with all these upcoming changes, we do repeat the call to have even more standard messages. We are trying to take a centralized API approach. Nevertheless, if we do have standard ways of exchanging data, we'd be happy to support this particular approach. So I think we stop here and back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Lati. Thank you. Just to confirm again, I mentioned already the Council regulation ending the custom threshold by the 1st of July 2026. Indeed, there is a certain prerequisite for postal customs clearance procedures there directly mentioned. So this is very important. I'm just now talking about the legal framework. This is the technology framework we are currently being presented. This is extremely important for the industry, the wider postal sector players' perspective as well. David, thank you very much also for participating and helping us in this webinar. I would like to move on to one of our CC members who is in direct interaction with the Postal Technology Center. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Kermit. Kermit, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. It's good to be with all of you today. Next slide, please. Zonos has been an industry leader for more than 16 years. We power more than 50,000 online retailers and process hundreds of thousands of orders each day. It's safe to say that we know e-commerce. Next slide, please. As we've all learned these past 8 months, that change is inevitable, and our ability to adapt quickly determines our success and the success of our customers. When the United States removed its de minimis and required duty to be paid prior to entry and gave the world 60 days to comply, we were ready. Likewise, we were ready for these EU changes as well. Now, with the most recent EU announcements and upcoming CBP clearance guidelines, one thing is clear, and it was mentioned earlier, data matters. It will be imperative for future customs clearances that more information is collected from each shipment, not less. Information such as country of origin, manufacturer, material composition, just to name a few, are soon to be required elements for customs clearances. Zonos has been working with operators around the globe, providing its API-first, AI-based technology designed to calculate, collect, inspect, and prepare shipments early in the supply chain to collect and validate shipment data upstream for a smoother clearance process. I'm sure many of you have experienced our Zonos prepay app, and we're just getting started. Next slide, please. We too have a vision of a worldwide postal DDP network, one future impact on restoring lost volumes. One thing is for certain, now is the time for Post to lead, and Zonos is here to support you. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Kermit. Very impressive. I'm also very pleased to give the floor now to a designated operator, to Ms. Michaela Bobet-Belak, Head of International Relations and E-Commerce Structure of Postal Romania. Michaela, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. My name is Michaela Bobet-Belak. And some of you know me as I'm working in Romanian Post for most than 30 years, most of the time in UPU postal flow area. And in the last year, I'm in charge of negotiating with private players. I will try to present you some information about logistic tax implemented in Romania since January 2026. Next slide, please. So the condition is to have, there are 5 conditions that should be met simultaneous for parcels to be eligible for this logistic tax. First, the origin of the goods must be outside the European Union. Second condition, the goods must be commercial in nature, specifically distance sales imported from third countries. Third condition, the declared customs value must be below 150 euros. The fourth condition, they must be processed under a reduced data set declaration, also known as an H7 customs procedures, no matter where the customs clearance is assured in European Union territory. And of course, finally, the delivery must be for a final recipient here in Romania. Who is eligible to pay this tax? The sender or supplier of the goods, the digital platforms facilitating distance sales, or the logistic intermediaries. The next slide, please. According to this law, the Romanian Post is obliged to identify the items based on our traceability systems or based on sender declarations. As I said, we have to collect the tax, and also we have to keep records and to report the taxes collected to our national fiscal authorities. Another condition is the logistic tax is collected, as this is a condition for the provision of services. That means no service will be provided if a tax is not collected. The next slide, please. The scope of law Sorry. The scope of the law is to better manage the massive flows of non-European goods entering Romania, particularly those driven by cross-border e-commerce. The Romanian government introduced this tax to ensure the equity between European and non-European operators, to combat the evasion and under-evaluation of low-value imports, and to consolidate the state budget. It is important to note right away that this legislation applies to all postal operators in Romania, whatever private or state-owned. Next slide, please. Of course, this is a tax, is not a fee. We should act as collection agent for the tax. We deposit the collected funds into special designated bank account until the scheduled monthly transfer is assured to the state budget. As an impact of this tax, we notice in first quarter of 2026 compared to the first quarter of 2025 a decrease of 30% of inbound flow. And regarding the date of 1st July, tax authorities have not issued a formal decision regarding whatever this national tax will be maintained after 1st July. Next slide, please. It's not mine. This is all. If you have question, I will wait your question and respond in Q&A period. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. There are a lot of questions. I'm very
Okay.
happy to see them. But I would like to go forward now because a lot of those questions are now circling around those €3. But we have a dedicated question and answer block planned already. And I would like to go now forward to our colleagues from Nova Posta. It's Dennis. Dennis is representing a very prominent CC member, Nova Posta, and I would like to give the floor to Dennis straight away to save some time. So, Dennis, the floor is yours. Thank you. Dennis, can you hear me? A question to the CC Secretariat. Is Dennis online?
He's online, but we can't hear him.
Okay. Well, perhaps we should move to the next speaker to give Dennis some time. This would be Jan Lehmann of Via Europe, Manager of Business Development. He prepared an oral statement. Jan, the floor is yours.
Jan is online, but we can't hear him.
So we seem to have a challenge there. So let me move to the first block of questions and answers. The first block will be about cost and pricing transmission. We had a number of questions related to the €3 flat duty fee. And I would like to combine those questions directly and like to pose that to Sonos, a technology provider, but also to Logistic Natives with their lead presentation. The first question is, how will this €3 flat duty handled at checkout? What's the transparency? Is it linked to landed cost models like DDP? I would like to start with Sonos to give us a kind of technology background here. Is there a clear indication from the European Commission how they would like to handle that technology-wise? Sonos.
Thank you, Walter. Yes, and so as I mentioned in my earlier statement, the further upstream that we can process the collection of these duties and taxes and fees transparently is really critical to the success of the overall shipment process all the way through delivery. And so yes, as part of a TDP model, what we would propose is that in the checkout experience for the consumer, that those duties and taxes and fees are presented at time of checkout so they can be prepaid, collected by the merchant, and then cleared through an iOS partner. That would be our clear suggestion.
Kermit, I mentioned that the legal framework that is already in place and will be applicable on the 1st of July 2026 related to those €3 is quite clear and is distinguishing between two further developments. The first one is totally linked to the Import One-Stop Shop system and its platform, and the other one, which is extremely beneficial, of course, for the postal sector, related to the designated operators and the global exchange platform. Is that a benefit to the designated operator, or is that an additional hurdle? And let me add the second angle of that question straight to it. Is it directly linked to the postal DDP model? Kermit.
So as we've seen within the current model for the United States, the burden of collection has really been on the postal operator to collect those taxes prior to their entry into the U.S. Similarly, I think the burden is going to be either on, for iOS, is going to be on the similar type of qualified party or IOS authority who's going to provide that clearance. But in this later case, yes, it does appear that the postal operator will play a role in ensuring that those fees have been collected and as part of that clearance process. And so again, the proper place for that to be collected is at the checkout experience. It's more appropriate for them to be doing that at the time of the collection of the funds from the customer, so the customer transparently knows what they're paying, but more importantly, they pay it up front so that the delivery experience becomes quite seamless. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Kermit. Lati, any kind of comments?
Yes, thank you, Walter. To your question, I just want to break it down into two parts. What is experience from the customer? So for traditional C2C, customer to customer, somebody sending some goods. From a technology point of view, we do have two sets of technologies. One is a kiosk, which is a web interface, and the second is a mobile app, which basically will give, or the data inputted in terms of the description, which then gives the HS code, then calculates the dues for that destination. The customer will be able to see what is due. And of course, it will depend on the destination that they're sending the item. So again, the objective is to be agnostic as possible. If that particular jurisdiction has got some sort of regulation requiring tax and duties to be collected, it will then be displayed to the customer. This then provides the postal operator, let's start with them, the ability to, of course, collect these fees on behalf, of course, of the destination at the counter. So that's one approach we are providing. The second one is now from a merchant point of view. So this is the B2C. So from the point of view of the EU, of course, we have the IOSS system. But similarly, if there is new operators who want to take advantage of what is being provided through our platforms, we provide APIs to capture, first of all, to show this landed cost for whatever destination. And second of all, of course, to help them inject the information to say, okay, we have collected the fees, or we have some sort of relationship with the sender, all the duties have been paid, and provide the necessary information right up front, so just to support what Kermit is saying. From a global postal model, we call this the flow zero, really the right start, the entry of the item into our supply chain should be accompanied, well, before the data actually enters the supply chain, all the necessary data should be collected. And of course, the duties and taxes known in advance. So this is the model we're trying to go with, providing both classes of the ability to collect information. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Lati, for this clarification. I see Dennis online. This is very good. Let me give you the floor straight away so that we can proceed with your presentation, and then we go back to question and answers. Dennis, the floor is yours. Thank you. I can't hear you. Hello? Nope. Sorry.
Walter?
Yes?
Yes. We're very sorry, but there seems to be a technical issue. It seems that Dennis and Jan are using the wrong link for this meeting. So we have sent out again the correct Zoom link to access the webinar by email. So we're kindly asking to the both of you, Jan and Dennis, to use this link to reconnect and rename yourselves so you can have access to the meeting. Thank you.
Brilliant. So I will go on with question and answers, coming back to the €3 questions in the chat. And I would like to ask logistic natives to cover some of those questions, in particular those related to the €3 per customs tariff identified item, the VAT relation, and certain questions related to the Import One Stop Shop platform. Martin, I hope you are online.
Yep.
Can you please answer those questions briefly, please? Thank you.
Very briefly, because to be frank, some of those questions, there are announcements about the principle, but there is not the final legislation in place. Yeah, so basically concerning IOSS, which is the biggest part of the volumes, currently more than 90%. Yeah. What has been announced that the IOSS framework will be used. Yeah. There is not yet a clear regulation or decision what will be used to collect it. Yeah. So because as you all know, IOSS is a tax system for collecting VAT. Yeah. We expect that it will also be used to exchange data concerning the new 3 euro duties. However, how they will collect the duties, this is not yet fixed. So basically, what I'm quite sure there will be follow-up webinars because this is currently not finalized, yeah, as far as we know. But this is then to be discussed. Yeah, for the postal operator topic, yeah, this will be also finalized. Yeah, this will be a duty if we're talking about postal consignments, where currently the postal operator acts as a representative. Yeah. But both of those topics, how concretely it's paid, based on my knowledge, there is no final legislation or a text here. If someone knows more, I would be happy to hear. But this is currently the status. We know it will be using the IOSS framework, but what this means operationally, yeah, has not yet written down. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. That actually brings us more or less directly to our second block of questions and answers. And I would like to ask the question to the designated operator, to Romania Post. Also, coming back to partly what Martin Füll of Logistic Native said, what are the main IT adaptation challenges for somebody like a designated operator in Europe, like Romania Post? Michaela, can you give us some kind of indications what those main IT adaptation challenges might be? That, and having the pleasure of Lati and David online, I'm sure that you're very concerned with these adaptation challenges as well. First, please, Michaela. Thank you.
Yes, we noticed this when discussed with our private players. In order to respect the logistic tax, we ask them several information that should be transmitted via API in our systems. Everybody should transmit us the origin of goods, the origin of a country, if a value is below or above 150 euros. And our technicians should adapt our application, our system, to this new information that should be implemented. Of course, for postal flow, we are using ITMAT messages, and what it is in the ITMAT messages, it's sometimes good enough for our national authorities.
Thank you, Michaela. Yes.
Yeah, the challenges is with private players.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, a task for the consultative committee to put some more light and more force into our collaboration with the Postal Technology Center, Lati, right?
Yes, indeed. So maybe just briefly from a, let's say from a collection point of view, what we can do, of course, is provide this capability to know the actual tax and duties. That's fundamental. And then the second part, for which I think is not very clear, is who is liable. I saw the presentation from Martin, I had understood, at least at the moment from the EU perspective, the requirement is on the postal operator of destination, so basically the EU postal operator. However, I'm not taking into account IOSS, but however, if the situation is that it becomes easier for the origin non-EU postal operator to collect this, they're already starting to do it, as I mentioned, for the US. Nothing stops, hopefully, us from providing a solution for mail entering the EU. Taking advantage of the fact that we are speaking, I'd say, majority maybe to our EU postal operators, I alluded to it, but I think it's worth highlighting that the opposite is happening. So we have non-EU destinations are revising their customs regimes. And the idea is with this model, we'll be able to also handle a situation where mail from the EU is going to a non-EU destination and the applicable, or now there are some duties and taxes that need to be collected at origin. So I'm not talking about the US, I'm talking about other jurisdictions. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question, Walter. You're muted, Walter.
Thank you, Lati. Looking at the time, I would like to ask if Dennis overcame his challenges. Can he hear us? But much more importantly, can he talk to us? I seek the guidance of the CC Secretariat. Still challenges with our participants to join us. If that's the case, I would like to go into the next block of question and answers. That's related to governance and risk allocation. The question here would be to Maersk. Are we witnessing a structural shift in customs governance from border control to data-driven solutions? And should industry manage regulatory fragmentation between EU level and national measures? Please, Alexei, could you give us an insight into these two questions? Thank you.
Thank you. We are still looking into these items. I think we can have a more detailed discussion about that at a later stage. But actually, we are still examining those different aspects and dimensions of this. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not relieving you that simply. There is a clear indication that the new EU customs hub will be very, very data-driven, based on risk management and data shared prior to entry into the European Union. Does that mean that there will be a new import control system, or is it a holistic approach, or can you share more information on that? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm not sure whether this question is addressed to me, because
yes, please.
We are not in charge of the data hub, and
okay.
we don't know more than other people know. Maybe Martin would be a better person to know and to provide the feedback, but not necessarily me.
Yes.
So we are just learning from the latest developments as much as everybody else.
Yeah. So thank you for that insight. I believe that gives a clear indication also to all participants that we are at early stages, and that what became clearer in the last couple of days is the legal and regulatory framework to be established, but there's a lot still to be decided on. Would that be a good summary, Alexei?
Absolutely, that's the way we see it. Exactly. Very, very nice summary.
You mentioned Martin Füll. Anything I should know?
Yeah, so may I add something, because we have two huge things, where the implications are not really completely finished. Yeah, the one is this real shift from this announcement that consumers will no longer be liable, but it will be the suppliers and or their interfaces. Yeah, this is a complete new specification. And also be aware that this data hub, there will be this new incentive, yeah, because there will be this new category of importers, yeah, and what they are talking is that there will be a direct integration with customs, yeah, there will be required a real-time access to the database of the supplier, yeah, and this will be the precondition to get this super status, to have a better less inspections, to have this maximum status. So this will basically, this new customs data hub will be something completely new. Be aware, so far there has been no centralized or no European Union-wide customs database in this area. And this new level of integration between the suppliers and the platforms, marketplaces, and customs will be much, much deeper. Yeah, so basically there will be the option for real-time access of customs to the databases of the suppliers. Yeah, this of course is not yet possible. The custom site is to be developed. Yeah, should be optional in 2031. Yeah, but this is basically where this data integration game is going to. So basically, we expect a much deeper challenge concerning data, because that was the main concern of European Union based on the announcements. But here, interesting things are coming. But again, we have had the announcement on Thursday, yeah, and we need to wait about additional developments and publications of European Union. And I'm quite sure there will be follow-up webinars when we know those topics in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. I seek again the help from my CC Secretariat, asking if our colleagues from Via Europe or...
pour savoir si nos collègues de Via Europe
hello?
Ou Nova.
Sorry, there was some intervention coming from a third party. Is Via Europe online or Nova Global online? I don't hear anything.
The Secretariat is trying to reach out and find a solution to allow these people to join.
Thank you.
But we haven't succeeded yet. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Alexander. Therefore, I would like to move to the fourth block we planned for our question and answers today. This is the strategic outlook. Will this reform accelerate regional fulfillment inside the European Union, something that was described in the first presentation as the B2B2C environment? Or could it even trigger traffic diversification to alternative channels? I would like to ask that to Via Europe, but unfortunately they are not online currently or can't speak. But therefore, I'm reaching out to Alexei again. Is there a clear indication that this new reform will divert flows from the direct supply flow we know as the tsunami of parcels into the European Union, possibly into a highly integrated warehouse system? Or do you see other strategies of your business partners? Alexei.
Thank you. Here again, we're just still looking into the repercussions and the implications of this new reform for different flows of products and different supply chains and actors and scenarios, of course. So it's not yet. I think it would be premature to express any specific opinions and more detailed analysis on that. So as we have this high-level discussion, so I don't think it's probably timely to express.
No,
any
I do understand that. We have to be careful.
Thanks.
We have to be careful here and do not want to make any kind of presumptions. But I also would like to ask Martin Füll, there has been certain clear statements by the European Commission in all those documents that they are planning to implement certain measurements if things happen they did not envision.
Yeah.
Can you give us a certain perspective on that?
Yeah. So first of all, because that is from European Union sources, it's quite clear that the European Union wants to give incentives to move from direct import to European Union warehousing. Yeah, that's spoken out. So European Union thinks that it's better, easier also for customs compliance to have volumes stored in warehouses and then sent to the consumers from European Union warehouses. Yeah. The second topic is, of course, the new regime, the €3. Yeah. Also the handling fees, they will simply make direct import more expensive. That's clear. Yeah, it's definitely getting more expensive. Yeah, the direct import thrived. Yeah, up to 6 billion parcels because currently or so far it has been the cheapest, most effective, most competitive channel to European Union. Yeah. Now, and this I also heard from my colleague from Via Europe, who is one of the biggest players in this inbound customs clearance business. It's always about competitiveness and costs. So it may happen that there will be changes within the direct import channel. Yeah, European Union has announced from October that if there are big switches from IOSS to non-IOSS, because sometimes it will be cheaper to use the traditional customs clearance, which is percentage, instead of the €3. Yeah, so if there are big switches from IOSS to non-IOSS, that they will review, and there may be the option also to add the €3 to all channels. But this is basically still announcements, as my colleagues mentioned. Yeah, it still has to be seen what's written in, but the clear idea of European Union is to incentivize European Union warehousing, so to put those goods in store and then dispatch from European Union. And now Jan is here. Maybe has also something to contribute. Thank
Yes, can finally you hear me?
Yes, Jan, welcome. Please.
Finally.
Take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so to continue actually on what Martin was saying, so I would think it would be a good idea to keep it short as well. So yes, Via Europe, yeah, we are one of the leading customs clearance companies in Europe in terms of e-commerce. We clear roughly 600,000 parcels per day. Among all our key clients and the giants who everybody know. And yes, we are in contact with them daily in terms of what's coming on the 1st of July. And to be honest, the idea from the start has been how to avoid that. Not how to pay that, but how to avoid that. So, and we haven't had any discussions on, let's say that, okay, we will start to clear the same way as an IOSS and then pay those €3 duty fee and then the possible future handling fee. But even with these national handling fees that were introduced, we saw right away that the shift for different countries to be injected the volumes and clear there, that shifted right away. So whenever, let's say, especially the Chinese customers see a way to have a lower cost clearance or other options, they will seek for that. And therefore, this B2B2C has become an option, of course. Martin very well introduced that has been also one of the foundations of doing the clearance in that way in the past. But again, the clients are seeking how to clear differently in a way that having the parcel still pre-packed. Yes, the B2B cleared in the same way, but let's say the final transaction between the EU entity and the final consumer will happen after the clearance. So that is one of the ideas that the clients are seeking. But now, together with compliance and lawyers, everybody is looking how in legal way it is possible. So so that is, let's say, the option A, to clear it that way, to let's say disturb the current operational flow as minimum as possible. Okay, the alternatives, what we have been discussed and mentioned, is the fulfillment. But to be realistic, looking at everybody knows about the giants and the capabilities and their warehousing capabilities in Europe. So just giving you an example, that one of our clients having already roughly million of square meter of warehouse space would be only 20% of their total volume, which they could handle through this warehouse. So it's not even realistic to have those fulfillment centers, to set them up in this short time of notice. That will take not even months, but years, to be fair. So we don't see a fulfillment center a possibility coming that soon. And to be honest, and there aren't any other alternatives at the table at the moment. So based on the recent news, also from the last week, for the concept document that was introduced from the EU Customs, we are now evaluating together with also our lawyers and seeking with the clients to see what are the feasible ways to continue the cross-border e-commerce to have the less impact as possible. Because if the giants will start to pay those €2 duty fee, then we will of course see a massive decrease in volumes. And that will be the impact we're seeing. So we are, as I mentioned, daily in contact. We are seeking every day brings new news to us. And if we have been already fighting against also, because that there is also not our interest in the game, against the Dutch government as well, for the national handling fee that was planned in the Netherlands. And as we saw that was legally wasn't allowed to implement this kind of handling fee. And that helped also to wipe this idea from implementing the national handling fee in Netherlands. So we are really strongly involved and seeking the ways to do it, of course, compliantly and based on EU law, to continue the clearance of e-commerce volumes. But there is a lot of unawareness how that will be after the 1st of July.
All right. Thank you, Jan. That was very, very helpful and very insight. Again, this seems to lead to further webinars or further information sharing with all our participants at a later stage. Let me ask again if we have Nova Global online.
Walter? Yes.
Yes.
Dennis is online, but actually he is connected to the French channel. So that's a bit of a technical issue. We're asking participants to turn interpretation to French so that we could hear Dennis, because he's connected to this channel, and French interpretation, unfortunately, we won't have French interpretation for his intervention because he will be speaking through the French channel. Thank you.
Good.
Yes, Dennis, we can hear you in the French channel. I guess everyone can hear you.
Dennis, the floor is yours. Yes, please go forward. Thank you, Dennis. This was very informative, and like others already mentioned during their presentations, it is very important to ensure that facilitation, harmonization, standardization is at a clear level moving forward. I have to recognize, of course, that we are running a bit late, and therefore I ask for a slight extension of a couple of minutes, because of course we need to give a clear view onto what's coming next. There was a clear understanding shared by all the participants that there is a lot to be discussed. We have seen several questions currently not answered. One is about the DDP and DDU for shipments exceeding 150 euros. We will come back to the questions to Sarah Meyer after that webinar today, and also by Thomas Weiss. There was a very good question on risk associated with a destination post in the EU, assuming in an import one-stop shop context. This is a question that is very relevant and had quite some answers. We will take the liberty to look into that after the webinar and share certain responses. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm aware that we are running late. Back to the Secretariat. Is there one of our executive managers trying to take the floor, or can I go forward with my closing remarks? Thea, Alexander?
Alexander, please.
I don't hear anything, so I ending the webinar now with my closing remarks. The discussion was very much focused, and I'm very, very grateful to our participants. We have seen many angles from the industry to the industry, the wider sector players. It was very clear to all us here in the webinar that the wider sector players represented by the Consultative Committee are highly important to overcome certain challenges. Together and in close collaboration, of course, with the UPU and the Postal Technology Center, where CC members are already playing the role of volume and solution providers. The reform in the European Union now is for sure and certain. The implementation details remain dynamic. Preparedness for 2026 will determine commercial resilience in the second half of the year. Modernizing electronic advance data to become a fully pledged risk management tool and related transition management requires coordination across operators, platforms, solution providers. We live in a holistic environment here at the UPU. I would like to thank all the participants. I would like to thank all the panelists. Thank you for joining this webinar. It is recorded, and the deck will be distributed to those who registered themselves. Thank you very much indeed. And with that, I'm ending the webinar. Thank you. Goodbye.